Welcome to Design More, Despair Less. This episode will be a little bit different than the standard episode. It will be a little bit heavier on the despair side I think we just need to dive into that topic a little bit more in light of everything that has been going on this past week. I think it is all related. And although it's not a topic that is necessarily fun to discuss, I do think it's important. And I think there is, you may not see a connection to design, but I'm going to try to make that connection maybe at a bit of a higher level. But I think it's important, and I think it's worth discussing. It took me, I don't know, kind of this last week, just kind of digesting everything that went on in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which I think we all have seen all over social media and the news, maybe seen more than we care or wish to have seen. But yeah, just a really difficult and I think a dark time right now. And I think it points to a despair that is very real, has very real implications for people, has implications in a lot of different aspects of our lives, whether that's at a personal level or a broader community, societal, nation, national level. I think it's something that it's a bit pervasive and maybe has been below the surface. And then there's just these different points in life where it kind of bubbles up and these terrible events do happen. Yeah, I know this is a bit different. I don't even necessarily know exactly how to go about talking about this, but I do think it is important. I know it's a bit different than what I normally cover on this podcast. Let's dive a little bit just into this idea of despair, which, I've been talking about, and with the kind of the restart of the podcast, it's something I want to bring in more. I really think it stems from this lack of meaning, this lack of purpose, people seeing the world as a place that is hopeless, a place that has, a place that has no place for them, perhaps something that they don't fit into. I think a lot of social media and news media, unfortunately, they get a lot of clicks, they get a lot of activity, they get a lot of interaction with these negative things and with saying what's wrong with this and what's wrong with that, what's wrong with this person and what's wrong with that person. And all you're getting is clips. You're getting bits and pieces of what this person said or that person said. And really it's a reality that's not actually real. It creates this whole world, this whole ecosystem in a way of clips and taglines and these things that they're not real life, but they can change your frame of mind. They can change the way that the world is framed for you and give you an outlook that I think leads to despair. And unfortunately, I think that despair, when it's not combated, when it's not addressed, when it's left to fester, when people, kind of imbibe in this mindset, it leads to a lot of very negative outcomes. I think I had a post this evening on X of despair, it devalues, and that leads to dehumanizing. And then that leads to devolving, this devolution. It doesn't cause you to evolve. It doesn't help you to improve. It doesn't help you to grow. It doesn't help you to improve the world around you. It devolves. It makes you a worse version of yourself. It makes you a worse version in your community, and it makes society as a whole worse. It's a devolution of humanity. And I think that is why it's something that is very pervasive, subversive, all of these different words that it's something I think it's not always easy to put your finger on what exactly it is or how it's impacting your life or others. I think you can see a bit of despair connecting it to design in designs with kind of this planned obsolescence, right? You can see it where people are like, well, I don't really care what the negative impacts of this thing are. I just want to get what I want, get my money, get my sales, get my fame right now. And it's this despair that long term doesn't matter, right? And that's not necessarily saying anything negative about selling products and capitalism, all those. We've talked about those in the podcast. That's not what it's about, but it's about just not really caring for this broader purpose and meaning of life, not caring about human flourishing, caring about those around you. And I think that is reflected in some designs where people are just taking advantage, maybe using, in the past it's been chemicals that are known to be harmful. They're contaminating water sources and all of these different things. And it's like, well, it doesn't matter. We're just going to use it. That could be a form of how despair could creep into design. And those are things that we have to fight against. I think we have to fight against that in our own lives. We have to fight against it in the way that we interact with social media, the way that we interact with other people, the way that, these algorithms from whether that's X or Facebook's or Instagram, you create those in a lot of ways by what you interact with, right? And so I think you need to be very cognizant of that, very careful of that, of what you're interacting with, and then what is being fed back to you. It's going to be this positive feedback loop, not positive in a good way, but positive in it's going to grow sort of way. And you're just going to be continually fed this negativity. You're going to be continually fed just these people selling despair to you, telling you things are terrible, that people hate you, that basically there's no purpose or meaning to life. And I think these ideas, especially some people more than others, but they can really have a deep negative impact and lead to these just terrible outcomes. I think despair also connects in a lot of ways to just how you see other people. When you think life is meaningless, you think there is no purpose, then you really don't have to place value on other people's lives. You don't have to place value in their freedom of speech, their ability to have ideas, maybe ideas that you disagree with. But it causes you just to devalue that. And when you devalue human life, whether it's in design or just in other aspects of your life, the outcomes will always be negative. And I think that is one of the things that I really want to combat with this podcast, and why, it's definitely coming from a design standpoint, from product development, from creating new technologies. But I want to integrate the user-centered side of it. And then what I also talk about a lot is the human-centered part of it. And combating that despair in your own life, I think, helps you to better incorporate the human-centered part of your product. If you don't value humanity, if you don't value your customers and your users, you're not going to be able to truly make a product that is going to be innovative, life-changing, and, you know, a technology that actually changes the world for the better. I think you fundamentally, to make a human-centered product, have to have a mindset of valuing human life and wanting humans to flourish, wanting to make their experience of this world better, to make their experience, even with the simple things, even with, the simplest of products, pens, pencils, USB sticks, calculators, right? All these things that may seem trivial, but if you truly care about the experience someone has with that product, you are going to go so much farther with developing something that people love, that they want to buy, and you're going to have that much more success. And that's also a positive feedback loop. You commit to developing something that is beneficial and helpful to other people, and they're going to value that, they're going to buy that, and you will reap the rewards of that mindset. So again, this is a little bit of a different episode. I think the main takeaway here is just to spend some time thinking about this. How are your actions? How is your life? How is your work? The products you're designing, how are they potentially being impacted by this despair, this lack of meaning, this lack of purpose, this thought that maybe none of this actually matters at all? Is that creeping in different ways? Or what are you doing to combat that? What are you doing to make sure that negativity, that destructive mindset, destructive ideas aren't taking hold of you and controlling what you do and controlling how you interact with other people, how you see other people? Because it starts to happen. You get in these, echo chambers, these algorithms just start feeding you all of this stuff that, man, it doesn't take that long, and all of a sudden you can just think, oh, the world and all these people, there's all these terrible people, all these terrible things going on. It's not hard to slip into that mindset, and it's not going to lead to anything good. It's going to cause you to be depressed. It's going to cause you to have worse relationships. It's going to destroy your ability to design great products. And I think it's antithetical to everything that I think product design could be, everything that product development could be, everything that developing really incredible technologies could be. It's one of the things that I've appreciated about Elon Musk when he talks about, like, you have to be excited to wake up in the morning. You have to have this mission. You have to have something worth doing, something worth dedicating your life to. And he has, love him or hate him, he has this grand vision of what he thinks is going to be beneficial for humanity, for what he thinks humans need to do to survive, like getting to Mars. And it all comes from a place of valuing human life, a place of wanting humanity to survive and to thrive. And so I think now it's just a time to kind of take a look at ourselves and, look inward and to see where is your motivation coming from? What is driving you to do what you do? What's driving you to create a podcast? What's driving you to write? What's driving you to design new products? What is your mission, your purpose? What is the driving force behind what you're doing? And that takes a lot of work. It takes active work to avoid slipping into these negative mindsets of despair. And it takes work to have a design mindset, to believe that you can improve, that you can make a difference, that you're going to have failures, but you're working towards something worth putting that time and energy and effort into. And so you're going to do it. You're going to put in that work. You're going to face the trials and do your best to overcome them, and to work on developing products, technologies, ideas, content that is inspiring, that's beneficial, that's helpful, that, makes you excited to wake up in the morning to create, but also makes other people excited to wake up and go to their jobs. That's one of my goals with Design More, Despair Less, is that I hope that what I'm conveying is making people not only better at what they do, but making them more excited about what they do, making them, or helping them see the benefits, the ability they have to improve the world for people around them, and to improve the experience for other people. And I think at the end of the day, design, it really all comes back to people. That's who we're designing for. That's why we're designing. We're trying to make better products for people. We're trying to improve people's lives. It really, to me, fundamentally comes back to this human-centered design of, we want humans to flourish. We want to do the things that will give them a better experience, whether that's in healthcare, whether that's in medicines, whether that is as simple as designing a phone stand that just says design more, despair less. Like something simple. This one was more for me, but every time I look at it, just like, okay, yeah, I like that. It just, it's inspiring. It reminds me of what I'm trying to do with this podcast, what I'm trying to do with my work, my full-time job, what I'm trying to do when I'm on social media, when I'm on X. And just kind of, for me, it kind of brings me back and re-grounds the purpose of all of this. So again, just kind of going back to this last week, definitely just a tough time, a lot of different emotions and social media. There's lots that we're dealing with. So it might be a good time to, just kind of look back at yourself, go a little bit deeper, think through what are your core beliefs and what's driving you to do what you do. Are you driven by what is good? Are you driven by what is bad, what is evil? Are you driven to improve the world for others? Are you driven to improve and add more human flourishing? Are you driven to improve the user experience, to have true human-centered design that is going to improve, life for different humans, for humans going through specific trials? Who knows? Like, there's so many ways that when we create a product and we put it out into the world, that it's going to have impacts on other people. So I think that's what I wanted to cover in this episode. It's difficult. I don't think there's really any, I don't have the right words to say. Those were some of my thoughts on what's going on and how it relates to what I'm doing with this podcast. And I hope everyone can take a moment to look at what they're doing, where they're putting their time, and just reevaluate. Yeah. Sad week. I think a lot of good will come out of it in the long term. I think there's, through difficulty, often good things can grow. It's kind of, it's the soil that things grow out of, right? That flowers can sprout from the death of other things, right? That's what fertilizes the soil for new growth. So yeah, just, sending prayers to the Kirk family, and just, trying to do, I think each of us can only do our part in the community we have with the influence we have to try to make the world a better place. And so I think I'll leave it there for now. As always, remember, design more, despair less. Thank you so much for watching.